Good evening.
Good evening.
We are holding at the bottom of Amud Tzadik Gimel, the paragraph that begins Ubira Inyan Hu. So we began the Maimah yesterday, and we carried on from the end of Pakadata, the second Pshat in Pakadata, that the Inyan of Yichud, the Yichud of Mitzadim Zarachamim, the Eidel Teodos Hashemayim Ba'aret P'yemibarim Yemasei Savaya Elikim, is the Pshat that whilst the structure of existence and creation to start with, and then continuous existence, was that Zah is Meir, Zah is Misyachid in Malchus, so there's a hemshekh of Zah into Malchus, and through Malchus there's the Brias HaIlamis, Brias and Hashamis, and the structure of existence through the Helen Behester of Malchus. The Gilui that we're talking about of Shit of Midas Harachim Sadin is the Gilui of Sheirish Makra Malchus. We asked if we're talking about a Gilui of Sheirish Makra Malchus, why do we still need to have the Yichud of Avayin Elikim, the Yichud of Zah Malchus? Why do you need to be Yom Eila Toldeis Hashemayim? Why does it have to be the Inyan of Toldeis, which is the Inyan of Yichud? Because you get Toldeis through Yichud. The whole purpose of the Yichud is B'shvil HaToldeis. So why do we need it? And really, till now, we haven't really explained why we need it. Well, no, we haven't explained why we need it. All we've explained till now is that it is necessary. That is what we mean to say. We do mean to say, the argument we are making is that there will be still a Yichud of Avayin Elikim, a Yichud of Zal Malchus. And it's not just going to be a reversal of before, where Malchus is the Mashpia and Zah is the Makabel. Rather, Zah is going to be a Mashpia. And we reminded ourselves of the way it is in the Moshul of Ish Isha, that the father is a significant contributor to the birth of the child, even though Ikim Metzias Avlad comes from the mother. The Gilui Koyach HaLada comes from the father. The Zah is Mashpia, the Inyan of Gilui, and we need to have Gilui, and that's going to come from Zah. That was our argument. That's what we said. We haven't said why we need it. We said why to an extent. We need it because we need the Gilui. But how it's going to be possible is the key question at the moment. How do you pull this off? How does Zah all of a sudden, which is only a ha'ara, is me'inamoy, but it's a gilu from the etzem, but it's not the substance of the etzem, it's not hashpa pnimis. How all of a sudden is it able to convey and communicate essence, the nakuda? How does it still manage to do that? So we haven't explained that. But we've just stated that is what we're talking about, right? So the last line of the previous paragraph, Nimsa shebechinas Zah yeh mekabel mechinas Malchus v'yeh gam ke mashpia shebechinas hahelam atzmi dein tzayv yoy yodli begilu lemata. So the gilui of the Sheirish Makra Malchus is going to come about through Zah. And that's why there's going to be a Yichud Zah Malchus. It's going to be Eila Toldeis. Okay. So to analyze this further, the Rebbe Rashab is going to convert the terms Zah and Malchus into Memala Kalamim, Sefer Kalamim. Zah is Memala Kalamim, and the Sheirish Makra Malchus, Pnimius of Malchus, is going to be Sefer Kalamim. I'll explain. I have to explain it now. And we're going to begin a whole hasbara about the relationship between Zah and Malchus, between Sefer and Malach, and how that functions and how that works. What's the interplay? And so we're going to start that here on a Bir Inyan, and that's going to continue all the way until Amud Kuf. So the top of Amud Kuf. So between now and the top of Amud Kuf is going to be a hasbara of the relation between Sefer and Male, Achshov, Bisman Hazeh. So, just like we were talking earlier, Zon Malchus, the way it is now, not the way it is last love. So till Amud Kuf, top of Amud Kuf is going to be analysis of Sefer Mamala. And then from Vihine Koza Achshov, he's going to start the Hasbara, what it's going to be last love. So what's the Shittuf? What's the Yichud of Sefer Mamala? How that, what that looks like. And that then continues all the way till about Kufov, Kuf Zayin. I suppose you can Kufov, around Kufov, Kuf Zayin, and then you have the end, the sort of the bringing everything together. Okay, so we got two main stages besides for the final, the final 2 pages or so, which deals a bit with the whole Tikhleh and deals with the whole Mitzvah Rachamim, the earlier Medrash, brings all the pieces together. But mitzad this Maimah, you've got 2 phases now. You've got the phase of Sefer Mamala the way it is now, and Sefer Mamala the way it will be last lovely. Okay? So the goal is to learn till the end of Tzadik Hey today, to the top of Tzadik Vav, and then maybe another 1 or 2 shur until we get to the end of Sefer Mamala Bizman Achshov at the top of Amud Kuf. We'll see how it goes. Might flow quicker, might flow slower. We'll see. Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Good. Amud Tzadik Gimel, paragraph beginning Ubira Inyan. Ubira Inyan Hu. So to explain this concept of how the Helam Ha'atzmi of Ein Sof can be Niskala Al Yidei Zoh. In Yedua, the Zoh Hu Bechinas Mamala Kalamim. Zoh is fundamentally the notion of Mamala Kalamim. Why? Dal Shum Zeh Nikro Ze'er Ampin. And that is the reason why it's called Ze'er Ampin. It's called Zoh. Why is it called Zoh? That's the pshat zer ampin, small faces, right? So face ponim is pnimius. So it's the idea. Mamalakom is a whole union of something being nimshach b'pnimius. So zer is the union of tzimtzum, small. So it's the way the oir is nitzamtzim in order that it should be able to be mislamish b'pnimius. Now the whole inyan of Eilam Ha'atzilus is Pnimius, Eilam Ha'tikun, Eiris B'Kalim. But the Ikke inyan of the Pnimius is in Zoh more than it is in the Meichin. Ukiyudua the Ikke Pnimius Hu B'Bechinas Midday Stavka, the Meichin B'Chlal in Bechinas Makifim Adayin. Kumishikosu B'Malkim Ache B'inyan like it says, explains in the pasuk that you can have Yadaita Hayoim, the Yediyah, but it's still not enough to have Yediyah. Yediyah is not enough for it to be entirely Bipnimius. There has to be the Hashivayis Alavecha, the Hashava El Alev, the bringing it down into the heart, so it should be Mamish Bipnimius. Neishazel Ika Pnimius. Okay, so broadly speaking, if you're comparing Eilam HaToyu and Eilam HaTikun, or Keser and Atzilus, Keser Makifim, and Tikkun is Eiris Pnimium. So the whole thing is a shtickle, is Mamal Kalam. But more specifically, especially in relation to our discussion over here, Zoh Malchus, Zoh is the Ikke Inyan of Pnimius. And you see this benegir to a person as well. A person's intellect can be very abstract and doesn't necessarily affect the way the person behaves, the person is, till it's nimshach into das, which the reason das being the mokir hamidus, the aim hamidus, right? The sort of the miftach of the koloshis, and it's able to affect the person with pnimius is a pshat, is a midus, the way a person feels. That usually a person can sooner change their mind than they can change their feelings about something. because the feelings are much more bipnimius.
That we have other Indian as well, don't we? The mitzvah only prefers the last, which so to speak, and
She's saying it's more chitzonius.
And you have to have seichel, and then it's made midas. That even the midas will be bipnimius.
Moichin is bishvil atzmei. You're right. So, but it's not the pshat when you say pnimius. Pnimius in the sense of being sort of meyushav and mislavish in the self. For the person to develop it, even though the avis bishvil azulas, there's still an inyan that the midas are the way you feel. Is the emissary inyan of yeshus, yesh mishayev. There is it's a true expression of the self, and that's why it's the inyan of pnimius. But we're not saying that seichel is not pnimius.
Over here, we're bringing out the Mila.
The emphasis that there is the Ikka Inyan of Pnimius, the Ikka Inyan of the Malakal Almim can be more closely associated with Zah, which is reflected in its name. But even more than that, but we're going to say in a moment, it applies to the whole Irakav. The Irakav is in many ways synonymous with Malakal Almim. So we're not excluding anything. We're just highlighting this aspect of Mamalak al-Almim in its association with Zah. Ulamayla, Zah inyan bechinas Mamalak al-Almim. Dainu masha oir meir b'pnimius, but bechinas islabshus oir b'kli, bechinas midda v'akbal lefi oifen akli. So what is your pshat of Mamalak al-Almim? Here he gives a pshat. What is Mamalak? That's why it's so associated with Mamalak al-Almim. Mamalak al-Almim is an oir, which is meir b'pnimius, in a manner of islabshus of oirs b'kelim, in a manner which is midda v'akbal, all determined by the kli. So, similarly, you say that broadly speaking, the kav is a b'malak lamim. Shari kav nimshach meirin seif. Hu bebechinas kav kotzes shnim devenik bolafi eifen ha'elam meis mislavish b'seicha elam is maspirit b'pnimiyosam. What is the eira kav? The eira kav is a gilu of eirin seif from lifnei atzimtzum, which is meila achar atzimtzum, in a manner which is suited to each madriga lefi inyone, lefi madrigosei. The whole bechinas ei pnimi hameir b'seicha kelim harihu me'akav shabab b'seidav adrag bechinas ma'ilomata. Every oir pnimi that we talk about through all the madrigas ha'elamis is an oir which originates in the oir hakav. So the oir hakav is the holistic notion of mamalak lamim, an oir which comes b'slapshus b'midav hakbala. Now, cover our backs a little bit over here. Even though the kav itself is not mugbal, it's a magbil, it's not a mugbal, right? Which we discussed at length in Miyamash Miyatzeres. Mikol Mokim, Harigam Bechlolos, Hamshachos, Yesh Bei Milo Mata, it still has the notion of Milo Mata. Gam, Yesh Bei Behelim Koleifani, Heprati Hamshachos, and all the Hamshachos that are going to be Nimshach from it. Even though it's like a bark of a tree, the center point, and we described it as being poshut, but still the branches and the tzinoiris, we describe them, they branch out from it. So it's not from the kav itself. But you can't avoid the fact that the kav is the measuring stick that measures everything out. Right? What is the point of the kav? The kav is not to be in a poshut. It's a stage in the processing of Eirin Seif Shel Acharat Simsim, that it can be able to be nimshach mislabish lefi erech da ilamis. This sphere, this amount, this sphere, that amount. So, whilst we maintain a certain degree of pshitus to the Eirakav, the Etzem Eirakav, nevertheless, it's still lumped in with this broader project of Mamalak Olam. It's a good achon to Shvat, in the Rebbe's Maimon Yud Aleph. This is the why Kav is called Shechina. because its inyan is what? To be sheikh and mislabish ba'ilam esesfiris. Shechina, malak olam. Yeah? Okay, so that relatively, I would say, like conceptually difficult shtickle in the Yemash Mini Atzeres that we learned about Kav, and to distinguish between Etzem HaKav and Ispashtas HaKav, and the way it's not Mugbul, but it's Magbil. Yeah? I'm sure you remember. This is what he's doing Chazor over here. So notwithstanding all of those caveats about the Eirakav, nevertheless, the Eirakav B'chlolosoi is the inyan of Malak Olam. So both Zoh, Bifrat, and Eirakav B'chlal are the notions of the Malak Olam. Yeah? Good. No hemshekh now. But the hemshekh that we're talking about above, the hemshekh of Sheirishim Moked Malchus, Mashin Himshech B'Bechina Sheirishim Moked Malchus B'Zoh, U'B'Bechinas HaKav B'Chlal. So we've been mamshech from the Atzmus, Ein Sof Atzmus Muhus, and it should be nimshach in the Eirakav B'Chlal, and B'Frat into the Eiris of Zoh. Zoh hemshech is B'Chinas Seviv Kalamim B'Chlal, B'Bechinas Memalek Kalamim. We're talking about a gilui of Seviv Kalamim in Memalek Kalamim. So we've just changed instead of it being Zon Malchus, we've broadened the discussion to encompass the whole of Seidish Dashlis. Right? Once you have a Gilu of Sheidish and Moked Malchus, Ein Sof Atzmus Muhus, the Ein Sof Lifnei HaTzimtzum, Noch Echa and Ein Sof Atzmus Muhus itself, that should be Nimshach La'achar HaTzimtzum through the miskeres, the scaffolding in the sense of Eirakav and the Eirim Malak Olam. So it should be Nimshach and Iskala in Eilumis. So how do you have? There's a whole reason why there was a Tzimtzum Arishin, because Lo Yomokim Lamidas HaElumis. It's sad the Eirim Seish Lifnei HaTzimtzum, even this Bashtasayr, not even talking about Etzema, even this Bashtasayr Lo Yomokim Lamidas HaElumis. You have to have a Tzimtzum Arishin. Now we're saying that the Gilu Sheish Moked Malchus, you're going to have both the Eirim Seish Lifnei HaTzimtzum, what we're calling here Seviv Kalamim, and should be Nimshach Umei Al Yidei Memalek Kalamim. Okay. Again, we're just stating the same statement of facts that we stated before. We just changed and we broadened it. Yeah, you see that. So before we talked about Zon Malchus, and now we're talking about Seviv Memalek. But we still haven't resolved how this is at all possible. We're just still describing what we're talking about. We're just repeating the paradigm of earlier Zon Malchus now into Seviv Memalek, and what that looks like in Seidish Dashnos. And it says in the Emek HaMelech, the Emek HaMelech is a Sefer Kabbalah by Rabbi Natali Bachrach. Natali Hertz, I think he might have another name as well. He's a Talmud of Rabbi Yisrael Sarug. And he writes in the Emek HaMelech, and at the beginning, זהו תכלס הכוונה להמשך בחינת ערין סייף שלפני הצמצום שיאיר על ידי הקו לאחר הצמצום. This is the whole purpose of existence. The whole purpose of existence is after the Eibishter created the world with the Tzimtzum Arishin, and so all that was made after was an Eir Modadul Mugbul, the Eirakav, the whole, and the Eirin Seif Asiv Kalamim is Behelim. The goal is there should be Mamshech, the Eirin Seif Shifnei HaTzimtzum should be Mei Al Yedei, it should be Begilui Al Yedei HaKav after the Tzimtzum. Shezeh Inyan V'Yinicheu B'Gan Eden L'Avdil L'Shomer, and explains there that this is what it means in the pasuk that he placed them in Gan Eden to serve it and to work in it and to guard it. Avodas Haganu L'Hamshech Teisvus Eiris B'Gan Eden. The whole purpose of this Avodah in Gan Eden was to be mamshech additional Eiris in the Gan Eden. The Eir the Gan Eden, the Eir which is in Gan Eden, similarly to all the whole of Seidish Dalshtas, the whole of the Eilames, this is all from the Kav. That's what happened by creation. When we talk about increasing and enhancing the Eiris Achar HaTzimtzum with the Eiris HaTzimtzum, that's what we talk the whole purpose. And that we're referring to Eiras Seviv. That's the pshat. And this is spelt out in the way we make a bracha every time we do a mitzvah. Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech ha'olam. The Havaya Elokeinu hu bechinas yichudei la bechinas seviv kalamim. Umelech ha'olam hu bechinas yichudei datah bechinas v'malech kalamim. B'hamshacha hu al yidei asher kedeshanu b'mitzvah. So you have the nusach habracha. Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech ha'olam. We want to have a baruch, a hamshacha of Havaya Elokeinu yichudei la seviv kalamim. In melech ha'olam v'malech kalamim. How's that going to come about? It's going to come about by Asher Kedeshanu b'mitzvaysav. What's Asher Kedeshanu b'mitzvaysav? Asher hu b'chinas tainuk. Asher milashon Eisha, yeah, is the inyan of pleasure. V'hainu b'chinas tainuk ha'atzmi the ein sof sheb'maisa ha'mitzvah b'chinas malchus. The way it's all pulled off is how? Through gilu sheirish u'makir ha'malchus, which is in the tainuk ha'atzmi of ein sof, the pnimius of atzmus ein sof. Malchus is the inyan of Halem, is the inyan of the enabling the production of the Yesh HaGashmi. So Maisa HaMitzvahs is the secret, in a sense, of Sfiras HaMalchus, with the Sheirish HaMoked HaMalchus we're talking about of being Niskala, is through the Maisa HaMitzvahs. Shnekroim Mitzvahs HaMelech. A mitzvah is called Mitzvahs HaMelech, it's a Sheikhus to Malchus. When does the Eibush get nachas ruach, a tainug, the asher, when we do the mitzvahs? The nasir tzini, hani mitzvahs maisiyos, talking about the physical mitzvahs, which are the ultimate manifestation of Malchus Batzilus. Because Malchus Batzilus is the Helen Vahester on the Eir, which enables there can be a Yesh HaGashmi. So, through the Pu'ula of being Megala in the Maisa Gashmi, it shaykhs to Alikus. You're Megala, the Tainug Atzmi, the Asher, and that enables there to be Amshacha from Seviv Kalamim to Memalech Kalamim. Shadei Mitzvah Amelech. And that is what causes the Eibush Nachas Ruach Davka, B'bechinas HaTainug Atzmi Dein Seif. V'lachein al yidei zeh mamshichim b'chinas Seviv Kalamim Memalech Kalamim. Okay. Right, I don't know if all of this is in the name of Kamelech. I didn't know. That's why before each and every mitzvah we say Shem Yichul Kutsha B'Richu Shchinte, even though we don't take it, we say it once to cover all the mitzvahs. When we say Yachd Shem Yudke B'Vavke, we mean Yichud Sefer Mamale through the mitzvahs. U'kanal Ba'akab B'chlal B'chinas Shchina B'Kutsha B'Richu B'chinas Eirin Sefer Sheknei HaTzimtzum. Right. Shchinta is a reference to Mamalek Kalamim. Kutsha B'Richu is a reference to the Ein Sefer Sheknei HaTzimtzum Sheb'chinas Sefer B'chlal. By the Mitzvah Nasa Yichu Kutsha B'Richu Shchinte. Shu Yichu Sefer Mamale V'Ika Gilu Zeh Yilas Idlavish As Yoeh B'chinas Sefer Kalamim V'Gilu. Taka, every time you do a mitzvah, you pile this Yichud and this Hamshacha, but it stays B'Halim. And only Las Idlavi would have been Eskala B'Gilu. Okay, so the Aveda here in the Maimah was to transfer the discussion from Zon Malchus to Sefer Mamala, and to say we're talking about the same thing, and to show how it's in the broader scheme of things, it's better to talk about Sefer Mamala than just in Zon Malchus. Okay, but it's the paradigm is the same. Right? We're saying the same thing. We haven't really been massive anything over here. So we're back to the same point where we were at the end of last year, but now we have just different, what do they call them? We have different, map. You have different, we're using here different, a different framework, but the same paradigm. Okay, so don't be confused. You don't have to sort of this and this. It's the same thing. Now, And we've got the same question that we had at the end of last year. It's all well and good to say you can have your cake and eat it, but how actually do you still end up having your cake after you've eaten it? Because once you have a gilui of Sefer Kalamim, once you have a gilui of Ein Sof Atmos Mahuz, then it sort of destroys all notions of Mamala Kalamim. That was the whole point of the Tzimtzum, to protect everything from this gilui. Yeah? So our problems are the same. And he's gonna now spell out the problem and try and deal with it. So top of Amud Tzadik Hey v'hinei lahavin zeh eich yeh gilu seviv kalam v'mala kalam. Simple. How does it work? Can't just as we understand them, they're fundamentally different things. How do you have yichud kudsha b'richu shchinte? How do you have Baruch Ata Havai Elokeinu Melech HaOlam? That is Seviv Kolamim Hulamayla Mishtalshnus. Seviv Kolam, as we've explained it, is this Ein Sof Lifnei Tzimtzum Lamayla Mishtalshnus. Sheseviv Umakiv Hakil Bashva Achas Lefi Mitzad the Ein Sof Lifnei Tzimtzum. Everything is equal. Everything is Klochshiv. Everything is bottled Metzias. As we're going to soon say, we're not saying that Ein Sof Seviv Kolamim is not B'Soich Almim. It's here, just like Mamala Kalamim is. But it's entirely Behelim. And there's no difference between the Ein Sof HaSeviv Kalamim, which is an Eilam Hazeh, to the Ein Sof HaSeviv Kalamim, which is an Eilam Atzilus. Exactly the same. The Gabi Ein Sof HaSeviv Kalamim, the Gabi the Ein Sof Lifnei Tzimtzum, Hakol Bahashva Achas. That's why they needed to be a Tzimtzum. Otherwise, everything will be bottled in the tears. Tichudei lo. Umamala kalamim, hu bechinas ishtalshus. Shu bechinas middah, ugvul, bechinas seida, v'hadroga davke chuli kanal. There's a mile and there's a mata. There's an elyon, there's a tachtin. So the eich yia gilui seiviv kalamim, umamala kalamim. L'cheira, eich lo yispatel, bechinas mamala, mitzad gilu ha-seiviv. V'gam, more than that. Lo mitzrichim sheyiyu gilu ha-seiviv mamala davke. If you're going to have gilu ha-seiviv, why does it have to be the yichud b'mamala? Let it just be a gilu ha-seiviv. Shezeh inyin ha-yichud the kutchabrichu shchinte kanal. This is what we described above. You have to have the yichud of kutchabrichu shchinte. Loma lo yigilu ha-seiviv lo yalidei mamala. Ve'ezu yisrin yish possession hemshekh b'chinas mamala davke chuli. So we already have, we can expect what the answer is going to be like. Because why did we ask this question about Zod? Why do we need Zod? That was our first question of the moment. Yeah. Mo in Yichud Zod Malchus. What does Zod have to give? What's Zod going to be mashpia? And so here the question is, what's Mamala going to be mashpia? What's Mamala going to do? What point is it going to? What? When you have the real deal, yichudei lo. Why didn't you have yichudei tata? You have Ein Sof Seviv Kalamim, Ein Sof Lifnei Tzimtzum. Why would you need to have an A which is modud or mugbul? What mile is there with that? Tzrichim levayt techila b'ktzari inyan ha'hefesh ben sefer mal. So, it says before we can get to answering this question and explaining how that's going to be, which, as I said, is what's going to be started to be explained in Amud Kuf. We're now going to explain Sefer Mamala as they are now. What are their characteristics? What are their attributes? And then we'll be able to explain their functions, the way it's going to be lasted lovely when there will be a yichud of Sefer Mamala. Okay? Dine Yedua, the Inyan Seviv, Ein Pirush Sefer Umakiv Milamaylas, like it says in Tanya Ches. Don't be fooled into thinking that just because we're using the term Seviv, that Seviv means that it encompasses, meaning it's external to the worlds. Ki im shemislabish gam kin teichelamis. Soiviv is mislabish in the Eilamis, just like Mamala is. Kamisha Kosov, Esa Shamayim, Viesa Aretz, Ani Moli. The Ani over here is Soiviv Kalamim. And it's Moli Kola Eilamis. The Nakuda of Soiviv is, it's Moli, the Shamayim and the Aretz in the same way. Nimtza, Shagam Ani, Shu Bechinas Muhusi Vatmusi is Barich, which is a reference to Soiviv Kalamim, who Moli Mamish B'Shamayim V'Aretz. Kamoy Bechinas Mamala Kalam in the same way. There's no place devoid of him. Elash, average been save Mamala, save if Mali B'Cholamim Bashva Achas. It's mislabish in the Elam is exactly the same way everywhere. And there's no sense of progress or transition from one darga to another darga. That the Shemaim and the Aretz are equal, identical in the way he is mismal bohem. Whereas there's a gilu, more of a gilu in the darga el yoino in Shemaim than there is in the darga tachtoin in Aretz. Du b'Shemaim mer gilu ei, ba'Aretz eini mer gilu kol kach. K'misha kosov av yoda yos la'Aretz v'yimeni Tikhleh Shemaim. Again, from Moshe Negani we have it. Yeah. Not to Yemin, the right hand, which is more of a gilu, u'bara Shemaim, or not to smaller, u'bara Aretz. The left hand, which is more betzimtzum, that's where you get Aretz. The agilu b'Shemaim u'miyad Yemin, shu b'chinas gilu ei, ma she'en kin ba'Aretz, u'b'chinas yad smel, shu b'chinas tzimtzum. She'ena ei meir v'gilu kol kach. That will memala kolamim. Masha enkim b'chinas seiva kolamim u'ba'aretz lamata kam b'Shamayim imal. Okay, so that's the fundamental difference. The difference between memala and seiva is not one is bislabshus and one is b'chinas makif. Both of them are bislabshus. When we say seiva, we mean it's not nitfas. Just like something which is seiva, something else, it's not nitfas by that thing. It's not defined by that thing. It's not held by that thing. It's not determined by the thing that which is being that's going round. So to save of kalam, even though it's mislabish and everything, it's not nitfas in the things. So it's not that this this thing is a kli mugbul, whereas the other thing is a kli kotzer, and this one's a kli rachav, and therefore there's more say the gilu the oir hanimshach of Seiva Kalamim, it's not Tefes Mokum B'chal. The idea that something is not impact, it's not the Eir is not impacted by the Kli. So we say Seiviv. The Seiviv should not be confused with the idea of a physical being something external to that thing. Okay, that's the meaning of Seiviv. That's from Pikmem Chestan. But how does that work? How can Soiviv be everywhere? How can you have Yichud Ilah in your midst, be mislabish and everything, and everything just maintains a sort of indifference to it, as if it's not there? It's there, but no one. How does that function? So seemingly it's a wonder. שבכנס אין סייב הפושט בתכלס הפשיטוס. ומולי ממש גם באורץ הגשמיס והחומריס, ומולי גם כן קליפס וסתר אחרי. What are you saying? You're trying to say that the Eibishter himself, Atzmusi Mohosei, is mislabish everywhere. And everywhere means everywhere. Even in Oretz HaGashmis. And Oretz HaGashmis in the Mokim HaKlippus v'Sitra Achra. There's Atzmusi and safe. Yipola. Ve'echi tochin she'yeh kam b'chinas ein seif Atzmus Mohos. Be'emes, however, in truth, be'hechrich loymar kein. You have to say this. Can't avoid saying this. Because you can't say that he's not here. That somehow the Eibishter is exclusively in the heavens. Because then he's not the Eibishter. once you put the Eibishter in a location and exclude him from another location, you're saying the Eibishter, Atmos Ein Sof, is beged the mokim. le-Khol is beged the milo mata. So we accept mitzad, basic axioms of what we're talking about here. Of Atmos Ein Sof, we can't exclude Atmos Ein Sof from anywhere. Fine, we can accept that. However, it's all well and good saying zazoi, or medaf verstehen wie zazoi, right? We don't just say, oh, azoi nazoi is the Indian. We're not saying that. The Rebbe Rashav is the Makabel that we have to do that, but we have to understand how. That is the avodah at the moment, figuring out how it works. He's going to say it now, but Kitzer, the main reason. The Ikka hefresh bein Malan and Seviv. So we said before, what's the difference between Malan and Seviv? The difference between Malan and Seviv is the Mamala has Milo Mata, and Seviv is Bashva Achas. It's everywhere equally, whereas Malak Lamim and Dagas Al Yenis is more of a Begiluay, and Lo Madargis is less of a Begiluay. Now we're saying that the Ikka hefresh, the main difference between Malan and Seviv is the Mamala Hu Shemeir Bebechinas Gilui. ולכן הוא בבחינת השתלשלות, שמאיר בכל עולם לפי אופן שיוכל להיות הגילוי בעולם ההוא. The main quality of Mamala, that is its core, what defines it, is that it is gilui. Now, we always associate Mamala as tzimtzum, is modul, or mugbal, but that is only an outcome of it being gilui. In order to be niskala to azulas, and what's the pshat gilui? Gilui is bishvil azulas. The whole purpose of the Gilui is bishvil azulas, right? What is the point of being niskala to azulas in a manner which is, way and above and beyond their comprehension? We're talking about seichel. To a Talmud. You want to be megala something. You're gonna just overwhelm them, or you're gonna tell them something that's not shaykh to them. You can talk in sort of like any type of gil oir. In oir, you're going to have, it's going to be on a different sort of spectrum of light that the person can't see it. What's the tialis? Whole purpose of gilui is as onkum and suyana, that it should reach the other person, the other thing. So since mamala, the core quality of mamala is gilui. Gilui to. And Gilui is only a Gilui when there is something to be niskala to. So it's Teifus mocking, Gilui is Teifus mocking the Zulas. So if so already it's inbuilt into its structure is an awareness of different types of Zulas, right? The Zulas which has a Kli Rachav, a Zulas which has greater ability to be a Makabel, and a Zulas which has less ability. So in the Zulas which has a greater ability, you can be Megala more. No or less. Because once you're Gilui, and Gilui means Bislapshus, right? The Islapshus should come Begilui. You're not just looking to be there and not have an impact, or be there and the person not to be aware of what you're doing. You're trying to be Megala something to them. If they don't realize, then you haven't been Megala anything. Right? Your goal is Gilui. So Mamala is Bechinas Gilui. It wants to be Begilui. So inevitably, it has this inyan of Milo Mata. Shemeh b'chol olam nafi ofen sheyuchol liyas hagilu b'olam hahuchli. Aval Bechinas Sefer Kalamim. Im hayoy shu b'seich Kalamim mamshik. Even though it's mislabish and everything, mikol mokim u Bechinas Helen. ולכן אפשר להיות בכל מוקים. ובכל מוקים בשפוע אחס. Whereas Sefer Kalamim is begeder Helen. His geder is Helen. And therefore, it's irrelevant. It's irrelevant the the consciousness or the awareness or the appreciation of the Makabel, of the Malbush, that because it's mislavish in that thing, and the thing that's being, the Malbush itself is unaware, is irrelevant. By the oir itself, it's not. There's no tfisus makim to the differences of the kelim. So therefore, it's not nitfus in it. So, we're creating problems over here. So what's it doing there? How did it get there? What's it doing there? What's its relationship with Chal?
What do you mean? How does it get there?
What's Sefer Kalamim doing here?
You can't say it's not there.
We can't say it's not there.
Right.
So it's only there because it's not there.
Oh, it's for last loving. For last loving.
So it's just sort of like a sleeper agent. It's just waiting its turn. It's not doing anything. No. That's not what we're going to say. We've got to figure out what's Sefer Kalamim doing. What's it mean, Behelam? It's not. There's no tefisas mocking for it. It must be doing something. It's not just a hidden bomb that's going to sort of explode last loving. No, there's something going on there. But again, we're just building up. We have a nice long shtickle about Helam and Gilui, until we explain how these two things, Sefer Kalamim and Malak Kalamim, are functioning B'nefesh Adam in the Eilamis, in the existence of the world. Okay? Good.